Hello everyone, I am H. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use separate windows in Touchdesigner as interactive elements. First we need to add two boxes. Copy and paste first one. We want to fill them with points so we can use the sprinkle subs. From the method menu, choose volume for each of them. And you can see that we can change the number of points. So we add a constant char. Name first one points and assign 5,000 to the value. Add a null, make the viewer active, choose both of them and assign 5,000 to them. Now we can merge them. Add a null. If you want to see two boxes more clearly, we need to change their centers. Now they're having same centers. So for box 1, we assign 0.8, and for box 2, minus 0.8. Now you can see that we clearly have two boxes. We need to convert it to top, add a null and convert it to top. From data format, we choose RGB and image layout fit to square. From the common page, we choose 32-bit RGBA for pixel format and we add a null. These are position and we add another null. That is our color. Now we are ready to add our instancing setup. We choose add sub, turn on add points. We add convert sub and convert to particles per points and render as point sprites. We add a geometry and we turn on the instancing from the instancing page and drag and drop post to translate OP and call to color OP. In translate OP, turn on RGB for TX, TY, TZ. And in color, also choose RGB for RGB. Okay. Now we can see our boxes, but we need materials, so we choose point sprite, add it to the geo, and we have our boxes. Okay. Now we need to set up our render setup. But as you see from the initial video, we need two separate rendering setups with two separate cameras, each looking at one of these boxes. Now we need to add two cameras. Copy and paste first one and color first one green, second one red. And add two render tops. Again, color first one green and second one red. Add nulls for each of the render tops. Add transform top to set the background black. Okay. Now we can see that our initial render setup is ready, but we want each of these cameras to look at one of these boxes and only look at that box. So we need to add to WindowCOMP and assign it to each of these cameras lookup param. Then we need to drag and drop center position from each of these boxes to the desired camera. For example, from box 1 to cam 1. Cam 1's null, and also drag and drop the center position from the box to the camera, but remember to set the Z parameter to the initial value, don't change it. Also do it for cam 2. Okay, and now 7's position also must be equal to box 2's center. Okay. Now we can see that each of our cameras are looking straight at one of these boxes. And that's what we want. Now we are ready to add WindowCOMP. So from the comp menu, we choose window and copy and paste it. Color first one green and second one red. Drag and drop null 5 to window operator param of window 1 and do the same for window 2. Now our windows are ready. Okay, now that we have our window comps, we need to change some parameters inside them. So we select both of them, and from DPI scaling, we choose native and also turn on allow user interaction. We also need to define resolution for rendering setup. So we add a resx and assign 1000, and also resy, assign 1000. And now drag and drop the resolution to the common page of each render top. It matters because when we open separate windows, the initial size is defined by the defined resolution in render tops. So now that we have these window comps ready, we can click on open as separate windows, and you can see that we have two separate windows. And we close it. Okay. I also, here you can offset the windows from each other. And it works with pixels. So when I assign 1000 to it, it moved the second window 1000 pixel away from the left edge. And now if we click on this question mark on Python, we can see in WindowCOMP class that we can have access to some of the properties of the WindowCOMP. Especially when you open a content window, you can get content X and Y and width and height. But consider that content X is the position of left edge and content Y is position of bottom edge. Looking at it, we can go back to our window comps. So we should add a text up and if we don't export, it's easier to split the screen and set it to text that, and we can click on edit. Okay. Now, I define x1 for the content x of OP window 1. So and copy, paste this one and turn it to y. Do the same to get the width and height. Okay. Now we need to add a table. If you want to check that these expressions work, you can always try something like print x1, y1, bit1, and h1. And right click and click on run. And if you check the text port, you see that you can get the position data and the scaling data of the window 1. And if you open the window and you change its size and also position and run the script again, you can see that the numbers change. So get back to text 1 again, did the print, you add a table that, and here we call it O for OP table 1, and remind to clear it each time we call it. Okay, now we need to append rows. Rows that containing name of each of these parameters. Okay. And then we append the column. And we fill the column with datas. Datas that we called earlier. The x1, y1, and width and height. I think there's a better way to do this, but I couldn't find it yet. So okay. Now, if we hit run again, we can see that we have our initial positions here, but something is wrong. Okay. To add marks. Hit run again, and you can see that it's fixed. Okay. Now we don't want to hit run whenever we want to update our window position scaling. So what can we do? We can add timeline and select one frame, add a chop execute, and edit it so that it hit runs on every frame change. So it's text one dot one. Okay. Now we check if our setup works. You can see that it works perfectly. Okay. Now we have our initial data. We should do the same for second window. But it's easy this time because we only need to change numbers. Okay. And we need to add text 2 also to the chop execute. Not wrong. Okay. Now you can see that they are both working. Now that we have our Windows position and width and height, we need to make it usable. So we convert out that to chops. We do it for both of them. And I mentioned earlier that from the WindowCOMP class page, the content X and content Y are referred to left edge and the bottom edge. So by dividing the width and height of each window by 2 and adding it to X and Y positions, we can find the center of each window. So now we do it. We add math. And on pre-add, we can drag and drop with 1 and divide it by 2. And do the same for Y. Drag and drop height and divide it by 2. Now we merge them together. Now we need to select our initial dat. Sorry. And replace our modified x and y with the initial ones. Now we can see that x1 and y1 are showing the true centers. Now we add a null, and the center position, width, and height for window 1 is ready. Now we can copy and paste it for the second window. And we need to fix numbers. Also here. Okay. Now we're good to go. We select our modified position and width and height, and I prefer actually color the one related to window 1 green and one that is related to window 2 red. Now we can merge them together. Okay. Next step, we are going to actually normalize our position, width, and height to work better with our interactive windows. Okay, now we want to use our calculated values to actually change the position of our cameras. So how can we do this? First of all, I have to change something here. Drag and drop that 2 to select 6. Now, close this splitted screen, and my laptop screen width is 1920 and the height is 1080. So I don't want my center values exceed these numbers. So I select x's and y's separately. And I rename them like this. Okay. Now I want to limit them to clamp them between 0 and the maximum value we can get, both for x's and y's. Why we need to clamp them between these values? Because if you open one of these windows and minimize the screen, you can see that the values goes crazy. So I prefer this doesn't happen. So I limit them properly between 920 and 1080, and then use math to normalize them. Again, by 920, normalize them between -1 and 1. Okay. Now I merge these values together. And I add a math too. And I multiply all of these values to my aspect ratio. Okay. Now the values that we can use to control our boxes and cameras are ready. We right click and click on view, and we come to these boxes. X1 for center X and Y1. Also assign them for box 2. Okay. Now, I also want to make a momentary button for opening these windows. Add a button, add a null, and on button, change the type to momentary and make the viewer active. Choose both windows and drag and drop the null value to separate windows. Okay, and close it. Now, if you make the buttons viewer active and click, you can see we have our windows. And when we move them to left and right, they actually get inside into each other. Now, in the initial video, you saw that when I changed the width and height of each window, the camera zoomed and zoomed out. But here this doesn't happen. So what should we do? Now, add the select chop, take null 10, and choose all the widths. Okay, and name them to Z. Sorry. Okay. Now again, limit to clamp them between 0 and the maximum value of the width. Now we can normalize it between, I find 0.2 to 4 proper for me. And add a null. Okay, now we can call this null cam z. Okay, now right click and click on view. Come to cameras and assign ZW1 to cam1Z and ZW2 to TZ of our cam2. Okay. Once again, we click on the button. We can see that it's clearly working. And let me change the colors to see it more clearly. Add a math. Actually, because the color are based on their positions, those less than 0 are all shown in black. So I prefer to pre-add half. And now let's check the result. It's working and it's beautiful. If you want bigger point sprites, we'll go to material and constant point scale to scale it up. Click again. can see that you can easily make those particles bigger. Thank you for watching my tutorial. I hope you enjoy it, and see you in the next one.